Hello. Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the Court of the Edijester, good people. Another interesting one for us this morning about HR, human resources. What's the point of them? You know, even Victoria Wood took the mickey out of them back in the 90s when she made the marvellous Dinner Ladies with Pippa, right? Pippa, the HR person who was interested in Scottish country dancing and was continually ridiculed for her uselessness. I think we've been wise to them for a long time, but they really needed BLM and everything else that came with it to show their true colours. They are now an impediment upon the workplace. They are not a help, an aid, or a guide in any form whatsoever. And I think their days are numbered. But that's just me. Wishful thinking, you might say. Yes, wishful thinking it is. It seems to be that HR is infected with the very worst kind of social justice monsters. And we have an article here from the Times talking about just that. The article's head, before we start, come and be a warrior teacher in October, subscribe, buy me a coffee, the usual type of stuff, right? Okay. So, how HR took over British business and got in the way of actual work. There are now more people working in human resources departments in Britain than there are doctors or lawyers. Is it me, or does that say it all? They have made workplaces more pleasant. Have they? Have they? No, they haven't. No, they have not. I couldn't disagree. Bloody flies. I couldn't disagree with this more. They have not made workplaces more pleasant. They've turned workplaces into hellholes of affinity groups and grievance and ridiculous training about whiteness and EDI, DEI, and the usual loads of cobblers, right? But I do like the fact that today Henry Wallop reports. It's a good Henry Wallop. Go on, Henry, give him a wallop. It was part of the company's race action plan, a wide-ranging policy introduced by Lloyds Bank's HR department in 2020 in the wake of the Black Lives Matter movement, to address the specific challenges we know our black colleagues and customers are facing. It's just nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Lloyds Bank is my bank, and I can't even interact with them now because it makes the bile rise in my throat. It makes me feel sick. Because they also support the LGBTQ, so I've got a different bank account now, and I just ignore Lloyds. Don't want to deal with people like that. Same with them at HMRC. Anything to do with the government, I'm not going to deal with you until you sort yourself out. The 90-minute course was being run by an external company called APS at Borg Neil, then age 56, struggled to log on to the Teams call, which 100 or so participants were joining. He missed the first few minutes, but he remembers the trainer saying, when we talk about race, people often worry about saying the wrong thing. Please understand that today is your opportunity to practice, learn, and be clumsy. Now, there's two things here that are really important that you need to note. The first one is he tried to log on to a Teams call, which 100 or so participants were joining. That's not training. That's not teaching. That's not education. That's an indoctrination session. Hundreds. Really? Right? Okay. So she immediately goes off on one. She launches a vitriolic attack, he recalls. I mean, she basically started screaming, shouting at me. I tried to apologize. I said I didn't mean to upset anyone. Surely he knew that the N-word is almost uniquely offensive, one of the most hateful racist slurs in modern English. I know that, yeah, he says. The neurodiverse brain works very quickly. Lloyds Bank HR's department launched an investigation that lasted 6 months. At the end of it, Borg Neil was told he had used a racially loaded and offensive word, which is totally unacceptable in the workplace, and as such contravenes the values of the group as an anti-racist organisation. Somebody tells you they're anti-racist, walk the other way. Right? Anti-racism is a totalitarian ideology that comes under the banner of critical race theory and critical social justice, EDI, DEI, and by very extension, political correctness. Run the other way. Okay? He was dismissed for gross misconduct. Of course I was upset. Initially about the fact that they were branding me as a racist, and I thought, oh shit, income. I've got to fight this. He did fight it, a process that took 2 years, ultimately winning his employment tribunal and being awarded more than £473,000 in compensation, a very large sum considering he was on a modest salary in banking terms of about 58 grand a year. The tribunal judge ruled that Lloyds had failed to take Borg Neil's dyslexia into account, that Lloyds' HR department had handled the investigation poorly, and that Borg Neil's use of the N-word was a well-intentioned, irrelevant question, not used abusively or to describe a person or a group. Do you see how they work? 473,000 is nothing. These awards should be massive. They should be much higher. Double that and add a bit. That's how you sting them. He is adamant he is not racist. Sorry. Just find it. He is adamant he is not racist. I would never intentionally use the word. It felt foolish, embarrassed that it slipped out due to the way my dyslexia brain functions. But the reaction and lack of understanding that followed seemed cruel and excessive. I don't care that you think it was your dyslexia brain. If there was a subject for discussion and that word is part of the subject, say it. I'm sick of this crap now, and you should be too. That was the whole point. You can speak about what you want to speak about, and then they went for him. I am speaking to Borgnoil, a busy city centre restaurant, continues Harry. Just around the corner from his former employee's headquarters. I asked if he was pleased when he won, after 2 difficult years that prompted insomnia and depression. I felt a bit numb, if I'm brutally honest. I've gone through so much, but it's still not finished, is it? Why? He starts to cry, because it is still happening to people. I was contacted only this week by a woman in the civil service, and she's been sacked and gone through hell. HR are still destroying people's lives, unnecessarily. Which rather goes against what they said at the beginning, which was that HR has made workplaces more pleasant. It hasn't. HR is a disaster. The idea that human resources, an industry that likes to call itself the people profession, is responsible for ruining anyone's career seems a far-fetched notion. But the Borg-Neil case, while an isolated and extreme example, is it? The problem you've got here, Harry, is that most people won't speak because of the likes of this. Well, that's why they went for him. They had to make an example. While an isolated and extreme example highlights a number of worrying workplace trends, not least the rise in complex employment tribunals, which numbered 42,000 last year. That's insane. Most importantly, it hints at an identity crisis afflicting both the private and public sectors. What are workplaces for? Are they there to maximise profits and deliver goods, products and services, or are they vehicle to improve society and the well-being of their employees? And what is HR's role in all this? Go and read it. He goes into much more detail, and it's a very interesting article indeed, so go and have a read. But I would say that I don't want employers practicing behaviourist methods to nudge their employees into what they think is correct thing. I'll hate who I want. I'll use the words that I want. How dare you? I won't do them in the workplace. I'll come to work and I'll do my job and then I'll go home. And that's all it should be about. We need to identify, I've already done it in one of my articles, I've identified a few of these courses. You identify the courses, and then what we need is a lawyer or a law firm who is willing to take on a case where these courses are seen as an interference in people's private lives and their right to free speech and thought. And then we sue a company. That's what we need to do, because all of these courses need to go. The only stuff that you should be learning at work is stuff that means that you can do your job better to maximize profit, deliver great products and services, because that's the only reason companies and organizations exist. They do not exist to practice neuroeugenics, social, bloody, behaviorist, nudging experiments. This all comes from the social constructivists. Everything's constructed by words. There's no such thing as sex. It's all not reality. This is where it all comes from, and HR's full of them. These aging bloody hippies. Lots of women and lots of gay men. They should know better. But that's just me. You let me know what you think in the Dubras, which I'm sure you will. You're never backwards in coming forwards, because I think this is a load of cobblers. Over to you. You tell me what you think. Go and read Harry's article. It's a good read. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.